This is Fruit Ninja. And this is Fruit Ninja in Microsoft PowerPoint? Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting video. Now, I had the very original idea of stealing someone else's game and claiming it as my own, because nothing screams innovation more than blatantly ripping off your competitors. So in order to actually get this shit on the road, I kinda need PowerPoint, which is a tiny problem because I'm not in college anymore, meaning I can no longer leech off free access. So first order of business is creating a whole new Microsoft account since my school deleted my old email. Name is sweet, yada yada yada. Looks like I need a last name. Let's try space. What about 0 with space? Another day, another bypass filter. Now, while we wait for this to finish, there's actually a number of problems we're probably going to encounter, like how we're going to animate the fruit movements, or keep track of the game states, or, I don't know, the fact that I have absolutely no idea how to make a game in PowerPoint. Alright, let's open this game engine up and start cooking. I don't know why the app decided to pop up in black and white. Let's just fix that up right here, and for some reason the theme is based on my system settings, which is apparently grayscale. Now, if you're unfamiliar with making games on PowerPoint, then consider this your introduction. I actually experimented a little bit off camera, so I have a general idea of what we need to do to make Fruit Ninja. So the Insert tab is going to be useful for pictures, shapes, and even videos. We're also going to need this action thingy over here, and it's going to be very annoying to work with, I can tell you that. The Animations tab is by far the second most important tab that we need to really sell this game, but we're going to have a lot of problems here as well. Now, there's actually one additional tab we need, and you can't see it here because Microsoft thought this feature was way too powerful to show to the general public. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret here because I like you. Person I've never met watching this video. Let's go to options here, click on customize ribbon, and if we scroll all the way to the bottom of this right hand section, you can see the developer tab. Ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't be a sweet video if there wasn't a coding aspect. Now I'll get into the details later for what this tab will be used for, but for now my dear friend, you're just gonna have to wait. In the meantime, let's add a new slide. I want this first one to be the home screen the player sees when they enter slideshow mode. Then they'll click a button that takes them to the actual game on slide 2. What I want to do next is add a few shapes. So this first one is going to be called Bob. Bob, meet the viewer. Viewer, meet Bob. Welcome to life, buddy. I'll also add this other shape and call it, Start button. I added some VBA code from the developer tab and attached the macro to it. So when I click start, Bob should move. Bob, psst, Bob, start moving. You're embarrassing me. Okay, big whoops, had a bit of a spelling mishap. So now when we hit the start button, look at that. He's taking his first steps. They grow up so fast. Alright, let's exit slideshow mode. And Bob, you can stop moving now. I think they get the idea. Bob, no, come back! Now, this is pretty cool, but it's a little choppy, which is where animations come into play. You see, another way we can force Bob to move against his will is by assigning him an animation and using the start button as a trigger. So when I click it, Bob's animation starts playing and he moves quite smoothly now. Now I know you might be wondering why I've spent so much time talking about Bob and his ability to move, and that's because our whole Fruit Ninja game hinges on the ability to update the game state and visual appearance when the user interacts with it. And maybe that's a little confusing, so basically, user does something, game reacts accordingly. I promise the rest of the video will go by faster. So we can look into making the game now, and I'm going to start by creating the menu screen, which I ethically sourced from a random YouTube Let's Play, and it looks pretty good. Let's add some shapes over the clickable buttons, making sure to increase transparency so they don't look like eyesores, and let's apply an action to each of them so they actually do something. I'm happy with the results. It definitely could be better, but it's good enough. So we can finally begin on the meat of the game, which starts with saying goodbye to Bob. Bob, you were like a son to me, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. You didn't really live up to my expectations. I have some fruit assets here, which I totally didn't rip off the original game, and I'm going to add them in like so, along with cropping them. This part is very important since the surrounding rectangle acts like a hitbox. Now, I like my fruits thick and juicy as much as the next guy, but there's a lot of unnecessary space I gotta get rid of. And now that that's taken care of, I think it's time to move on to the animations. So let's add the initial animations that allow the fruit to jump. Enter slideshow mode, go through the menu screen. And yeah, of course it's broken. Okay, round 2. Beautiful. And while I'm at it, I might as well add a spinning animation so it looks more similar to the real game. Now this is what I call AAA game development. Well, I think it's time for the fun part. Slicing the fruits. I can use a mouse over action for the fruits and trigger a macro when the mouse is moving over them. But the mouse over feature will be a problem when we add the bombs, because we don't always want to slice something just because our mouse is over it. We need a mouse drag event, which is quite unfortunate because as far as I'm aware, PowerPoint doesn't natively support this. But if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that if an app says something isn't possible, I'm the guy that makes it possible. So after a little bit of casual typing, we have the initial code, and it's very choppy. I'd say it's operating at about 3 frames per day. Something I didn't realize before is that I'm keeping track of the mouse's position, but the mouse over action already does this. So my VBA only needs to track if the mouse is being pressed, which means I can just remove most of this code. And now the gameplay is much smoother. I then spent more time than I'd like to admit adding in the half images of each fruit, which show up when the player slices it. This was by far the most painful part of the project, since getting these animations to play at the right time proved to be quite difficult. You'll see later in the video that I will have to make an annoying compromise for the game, but more on this later. I added a fruit counter and timer, but honestly guys, I don't really know what game mode I'm going for here, so this will probably change at some point. So here's a video that displays the timer, and yes, I've already tried to do it live with both VBA and animations, but I kept running into problems. Let's just move on to the fruit counter. Whenever a fruit is sliced, this number should be increased by 1. After making the code changes and updating the counter's macro, we can run the slideshow. And it counted the fruit twice. I should probably fix that. Perfect, and I can even slice the other fruits. So a big problem I'm encountering right now is getting these half fruit animations to play when the whole fruit is sliced. And I've been trying for a while to get this to work with no luck. For now I'm gonna hide all of these and get back to it later. So there's only a few main issues left for this game. Getting the fruits to spawn randomly, adding the bombs, and making sure the game actually, ends. I've played around with different ways to get the fruits to spawn, but with PowerPoint, that's apparently a very big ask. It's like forcing a child to eat his vegetables. It's gonna keep fighting you. So instead, I'm gonna use a series of shape triggers that are hidden. And no, I'm not gonna explain how this works because it would ruin the magic. But yeah, some of you can probably figure out what I did here. The last thing I needed were the bombs, which honestly were a piece of cake to implement, so there really weren't any problems, unless you count having the bombs making it nearly impossible to slice the fruit in certain situations. The solution in this case was having the bombs travel a greater distance during the animation. I also decided to model my game after classic mode, so instead of a timer, the player has 3 lives. If they don't slice a fruit, they lose 1 life. If they hit a bomb, they automatically lose the game. So yeah, the instructions are pretty simple. You can also see my beautiful end screen here. You better like it. Another thing I was able to do was come up with a solution for the half fruit animation problem I mentioned earlier, which literally just involved unhiding a juice image after the fruit was sliced. And yes, I know it's still buggy, but this is the knockoff version your mom gives you when you ask for that really cool new video game, and she just replies by saying, "Honey, we have that game at home." But anyways, here's the final result. I tried seeing how long I could go. I don't know if it's how I made the game or if I'm just bad, but I don't think I was ever able to get past a score of 30, so that's cool, I guess. Admittedly, I haven't really used PowerPoint that much in the last few years, so as you can imagine, I struggled immensely with this game. But I did learn one very important lesson when it comes to using this app as a game engine. Fuck you, PowerPoint! Okay, so it's actually not the end of the video yet. Just wanted to say that I created a Twitter account so I could tweet this game out to PowerPoint themselves. But they didn't actually respond, so this is kind of embarrassing. Anyways, if you want to follow me, here it is. I'll probably have more social media sometime in the future. Anyways, see you later.